Hey everyone, Ashley Mailloux might be here with the Daily Racing Form. We're going to take a look at both divisions of the De La Rose, but for the Thursday race of the day, we will focus in on the first one. It's race number 5 on the 10 race program out at Saratoga. Turf event at a mile, and this is for fillies and mares, a 4-year-old and upward. In looking at this field, there's a couple things to note, right? Mike, obviously the outside two in here weigh the risks in the 10 Maggie's Palace. They're both MTOs in this spot, so don't read into that too much in terms of your handicapping. But if we're on the grass, I mean, it's an event where I think personally 2 horses are probably the ones that stand out.
I thought, first of all, I'll say 2 things about that. First of all, I feel like this division's way tougher than the other one. All the strength is to the inside in here. I think I felt like you could make logical cases for maybe 1 through 4 in here. The other horses I thought were a little tougher to get to. But I don't think there's any real denying that the number 4 Heredia is the horse to beat. If she can still run, and she does have to prove that, but if she can still run, she is going to be really tough for this field to beat.
She's a short price on the morning line, 3-1. We'll look at the time form U.S. pace projection for this event. The 6 On Command. We didn't see it last time out going 5.5, but 2 starts back in the license fee. We saw her show her early foot. And when she was sharp from the gate, she can be kind of a menace on the front end, but maybe other horses will be involved. The 8 in Our Time for Safi Joseph Jr. I think she has to go, Mike, with the outside drawn based on what we've seen to date. Why would you change anything?
Yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting to see how they play it here. They're the 2 right horses to go forward. On Command is stretching out off a couple sprints, and you do expect her to show speed in this race. The 8 in Our Time is really fast. And she's a really good gate horse, too. I got to believe that they're going to come out looking for the lead with that horse, especially. And we'll see if the weather changes at all this week, actually. But anybody who watched that little 4-day 4th of July festival they just had at Saratoga, the turf courses are rock hard. This race is on the inner turf course. And if you were on the lead and on the rail on the inner turf the last 4 days at Saratoga, you were almost automatic.
If you're looking at the reason why this race is restricted, it's restricted for horses that have not won a graded stakes race in 2024-2025 season. So just something to note here as we start to dive in with the field, the number 1 Alluring Angel. You mentioned kind of making cases for towards the inside. I think off the last time that we saw her, you can make a case for her. Obviously, she ran well. She was closing late. She missed by a length and a quarter in that grade 3 event. I guess my concern is she goes to another barn now. It's her 4th trainer, Mike, and we don't ever see her consecutively, at least not since 2022. So I don't know. Is she going to need a race? Maybe in the past she hasn't, but it's a mess.
It's the real question. She's been really good off the layoffs. But yeah, you never know if they're going to keep doing that. She's 5 years old now. This is an owner, if you follow New York racing, he just I don't know, he can't keep horses in the same way. He just loves to move his horses around for some reason. The good news for Alluring Angel is she's run well for everybody. It doesn't really matter what barn she's running out of. I just think she's really good, actually. I mean, I like just about all of her races. I don't know what happened in the 5.5 furlong race at Keeneland 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Other than that, every one of her races is good. She was pretty badly compromised the last time we saw her behind a wire-to-wire winner, but still finished well in that race. I just think she's underrated. She's going to sit on the rail in this race and try to get a run through the stretch in here. And if she gets one, she will be there at the wire, in my opinion.
The 2 up next in the field, this one for Miguel Clement Reys, who was 5th last time out in the Valley View out at Keeneland. That was back in October, and I thought it was a good effort. I think if you're going to knock this one, she took a lot of play in there, and she didn't fire her best effort. She just didn't have the turn of foot that we saw 2 starts back, but obviously a barn that's doing well, and she showed talent in the race 2 back.
Yeah, she did. I thought her winner members was actually really good. That was her first start over here, and it's a race where she did get a good trip in that race, actually. But I'll tell you what, she fired a good one through the stretch. She outfinished a really good horse in dynamic pricing in that race. And then that Keeneland race, I'm just going to be a little lenient. I mean, there was nobody making up any ground in that race. And so while her trip was fine, she was trying really hard in the stretch, and those leaders, they were not coming back for her. You can see that final quarter there in 23 and change there. It's really hard to make up ground like that. I don't think she ran as poorly as it looks last time. I liked her races in France. I liked her stateside debut. If she's ready off the layoff, I think she can go with these horses.
The 3 deep Satin, this one for Cherie DeVoe, is 5th most recently in a grade 3 event out at Churchill. And prior to that, I really liked her effort at Keeneland with so much moisture in the turf course. She seemed to relish and love it. I know she's gone off favorite in that race and in the past, and she hasn't been able to win, but consistent. And just curious to get your thoughts on the trip last time out. I thought it was a great trip. She just didn't have the punch.
Yeah, I was pretty disappointed in her last race. That was one thing that sort of holds me back on her. I really liked her last year. I felt like she not only did she run good races, I felt like she had a lot of potential. And so far at four, she hasn't delivered on it. But it's only been two starts. I mean, she ran pretty well at Keeneland. I still don't like the horse that beat her, but that horse had the jump on her. So I was going to be lenient there. I didn't like her last race that much, but I mean, there's an argument to be made that she's a lot better than that, Ashley. We'll see what kind of price she is. I don't want to show a price on her, but I can see her being effective in here.
The 4 Heredia, this one in the Barn of Graham motion. We'll take a look at her most recent performance back on May 4th, the grade 3 Bogey. And I thought it was a good effort. Overall, obviously, you're going to see the runner-up Edict finishes in front of her. You already gave kudos to dynamic pricing and what she's been able to do. I thought this was a great effort. It was her first start since October of 23, where look at the level of competition she faced. Not only a long layoff, but a horse that's shown that she can run and be very competitive. And I agree with you, Mike. You said it. She's the horse to beat in here.
Yeah, and if she can still run, again, she's 6 years old now. She has races, and unfortunately, you got to go back to 2023 to get to them. Those races, they make her too good for these horses. She missed, almost 600 days. And so, then she comes back in that race that we just watched there. Yes, she got a perfect trip. But off that kind of a long layoff, you can sort of understand why maybe she weakened a little bit at the end of it. I don't know. I mean, I think she's the horse to beat in here. And if she's around that 3-1 morning line, I'm not arguing. If she goes off shorter than that, though, I think it's reasonable to try to beat her here and just make her at least prove that she can still run.
The 5 Edict we saw was the runner-up behind dynamic pricing. That replay that we just showed finished half a length in front of Heredia. Then more recently, they tried the grade 1 competition at Saratoga, and I think you combine that with it being a yielding turf course, you draw a line through it. And I don't know how you assess her in here. I think if she offers value, she could get a piece against this group.
Yeah, I agree. And I think she's going to get another good trip in this race too, which was the case in the Bogey too. We talked about Heredia getting a great trip. This horse also got a great trip in that race, and she did her best with it. Just wasn't good enough. I don't care about her last race too much. She was overmatched there on a boggy turf course. I think the biggest issue I had with her actually is she's run over here 4 times. I like exactly one of her races. The other 3, I don't think she ran that well.
The 6 On Command, you talked about it, going to stretch out in distance was part of the pace 2 and 3 starts back, regardless of the surface. And I think now the question is going to be the distance and this level. She's a little bit of a tough sell for me. I think Amelia Green, a young trainer that's doing very well. And the effort 2 back was a great effort in the license fee, but I have reservations against this group, just knowing that they've been being competitive against stakes competition that's graded.
Yeah. I suppose there's a scenario here where the turf courses don't change by Thursday. She does make the lead and the rail, and the track just sort of carries her around the track.
Mm-hmm.
And there, otherwise, I just can't see her beating these horses.
The 7 Way to Be Marie for Rob Atris was 5th last time out in the grade 3 Gallarette. She took a lot of play in there. And Charlene's Dream scored an upset in there for those connections. She's a little inconsistent for me. I don't think she necessarily strings together wins, as we can see through her resume. And at her best, I think she could get a piece in here, but I want to take a short price on her. And I wonder if Irad climbing aboard is going to really deplete the 8-1 morning line.
It's a good point. People he does tend to pull money to his mount. So we'll see how much he can pull to this filly, who's obviously got her work cut out for her here. I actually felt like she was an underrated 3-year-old. Unfortunately for her, campaign was over on June 1st. And so, we'll see how much better she can get now as a 4-year-old. Actually, her races are okay this year. I don't think she's really jumped forward necessarily. I think she's going to have to jump forward to win here. But I do think she's a little underrated, and maybe she will be a fair price in here.
The 8 in Our Time going to round out the main body of the field. This one for Sappy Joseph Jr. Go to a race 3 back. She was 3rd best behind her stablemate Be Your Best. She took a step forward, I thought, in her following start in terms of the way she was able to hold. But you said it, Mike. She's really quick. I mean, some of these fractions that she's setting, you don't see in a mile or a mile and a 16th, and you rarely do. And she's been able to stick around. And I think for her, this is a great spot.
Yeah, you can see it when you watch her replays in particular. I mean, she's really fast early in her races. They don't, last time for whatever reason, I guess they just decided Mike Smith took them out. They decided they weren't going to go to the lead with her. And I don't think that really worked out that well for her. I just think she's at her best when they let her roll early. I expect that they'll do that here with Saez taking over from the outside, and we'll see if she's good enough.
And then the 9 and the 10, we'll just mention them. Weigh the Risk and Maggie's Palace. They're going to take all the love in here if this gets moved to the main track, as they are the true dirt runners in the field. But don't forget, free past performances for the first division of the Della Rose this Thursday out at Saratoga. on the DRF website. We will take a look at our top picks. And you mentioned this is a really tough division out of the two. And you'll go to the 92 shot in here, the number 2, Reys from Miguel Clement. Off the performance that you mentioned last time out, your key, right, Mike, was the fact that she was trying. It's just that no one was coming back to her.
Yeah, I just don't think she ran as poorly as it may look in that most recent start. And I did like her stateside debut. I just feel like she's interested in here, Ashley, if she's ready off the layout, because I think she's pretty good. And I don't think she's going to be a short price in this race. Heredia, you know, I think she's the logical starting off point here. It is worth noting, we didn't mention it when we were talking about her. Graham did have her entered in the grade 1 too, the Just a Game. And before that race, you know, that course became a bog there. I think he probably didn't want to run her over that. So I'm just going to assume that she's ready. And if she runs her good race, she'll probably win. But I'm going to try to beat her if she's a short price.
You'll get better value. I don't go price shopping. I go to the 4 Heredia. Obviously, the long layoff, there's always the chance that second start off of it, they don't take a step forward, but not a concern I typically have with Graham Motion. I think he knows when to run them and when they're ready. So use her on top and look elsewhere underneath to try to build in some value. But 2-4-1-3 for Mike, 4-8-3-5 for me. Race number 5 this Thursday at Saratoga. Good luck.